Hey guys, today we are talking about how to name your baby and some mistakes to avoid. Choosing the perfect name for your little one is really easy for some people, but for others it can be a bit overwhelming. Don't worry though, I'm here to guide you through the process. I'm Jason Kreidman, founder of daduniversity.com and international baby naming expert. I'm just kidding, but I wonder if there is such a title as that. I'll have to look into it. But my wife and I did go through this process when naming our first child. Before we knew the gender of our first child, it was clear that if we had a girl, the name was non-negotiable because my wife already had a very special and meaningful name picked out. But in return, if we had a son, I got to choose our son's name. There's many different things to consider when choosing a name, so let's go over some of them. First, meaning and significance. Most parents don't pick a name at random with good reason. You want the name to be meaningful and have some kind of significance. It's an important decision, so hence why you're watching this video about it. Maybe the child is named after someone who was important in you or your partner's life, or maybe somebody in history or stories that you admired. When you hear the name, you get a positive emotion. Next, cultural and family heritage. Embrace your cultural and family heritage. Names can be a wonderful way to honor your roots and keep traditions alive. Maybe the name has significant meaning in your culture. This may be important to you to pass along to your child. Next, uniqueness versus commonness. Deciding between a unique and common name is essential. You want to strike that right balance where your child's name stands out, but it's not completely out of place. You don't want a name that's on the top of the most popular list, but you don't want something so unique that nobody even knows how to pronounce it. Which brings us to the next point, pronunciation and spelling. Opt for a name that's easy to pronounce and spell. Trust me, your child will appreciate this later on. Don't get all funky and add letters that don't need to be there. For example, you name your daughter Sarah, and instead of spelling it S-A-R-A, you spell it S-A-I-R-R-A-H. Just don't do that. Another, sibling or family harmony. Think about how the new name sounds alongside your other children's names if you have them, or even you and your partner's names, or in addition to your last name. Harmony is the key. Now that we've covered some of the key baby naming elements, let's talk about some mistakes to avoid when naming your baby. Next, unintentional initials. Be mindful of the initials of your baby's name and what that might create, the first name, middle name, and last name. If these initials spell out something that you don't want to be associated with or that your child associated with, consider changing the name. Next, nicknames or abbreviations. I don't really understand why people just don't name the child what they intend to call them. For example, William is Bill, Alexander, Alex, etc. Why not just use the name that you're going to call them? It's quite confusing for the person. And this brings up the next point, neglecting longevity. Remember, your baby's name isn't just for childhood. So I understand you might think that right now the child goes by Alex and then maybe in the future they're going to go by Alexander as an adult, but he won't. So consider what their name will be as an adult, but then just stick with one name. It'll be fine. Next, overlooking cultural sensitivity. If you're considering a name from another culture, ensure that you understand its pronunciation and the cultural context in order to use it respectfully. If you aren't sure or there can be confusion, avoid it. Leave it to the locals. Next, choosing a name solely on popularity. Avoid the trap of choosing a name only because it's popular. Your baby deserves a name that's meaningful to you. Don't pick any names at the top of the naming list. Next, ignoring negative associations. Steer clear of names that might carry negative associations, whether historical, cultural, or otherwise. Do some Google searches before you decide on a name and see what comes up. If the name's fairly unique, then you don't want your child to have that association. If it's fairly common, then that's fine. Another mistake to avoid, setting up for teasing. Anticipate potential teasing. Kids can be creative, so choose a name that won't set your child up for unnecessary challenges. This means avoid names that maybe rhyme with bad words or sound very similar to something that kids on the playground will find a reason to tease about. Next, forgetting about middle names. Don't forget about middle names. They can be a creative outlet and a way to honor family members. Maybe you have a member of your family that you want to honor, but you don't necessarily want that person's name for your child's name. Consider it as a middle name. With all of these elements and mistakes in mind, there's one last thing to remember. Trust your intuition. When you find a name that just feels right, you'll know it. You and your partner should feel good about it. If you do, your child will likely feel good about it too. And so I hope you enjoyed this comprehensive guide to naming your baby and also some of the mistakes to avoid. Remember, this is a unique and beautiful journey that you're embarking on. Take your time, involve your partner and loved ones, and enjoy the process of finding that perfect name for your little one. I would love to hear from you. What is important to you in naming your child? Leave your feedback in the comments section below. If you want to learn more about how Dad University membership can help you, be sure to visit daduniversity.com. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone you think might enjoy it. We'll see you next time.